Hi, Elaine. Yeah, she's fixing a wig. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to tonight's City Board of Directors meeting on this beautiful Tuesday evening, August 4th, 2020. At this time, I'd ask us to rise for the invocation by Pastor Audrey Chapman and Pledge of Allegiance led by myself. Please rise.
Good afternoon. If everybody would just bow their heads, please. Father, we thank you today, for this is the day that you have made, and we choose to rejoice and be glad in it. Now, God, as we stand today, we ask that you would give us the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding, just as Solomon prayed. Give us directives on how to lead your people and to cause change in our community, that we would be servants of you, God, in the name of Jesus. God, we thank you in advance for change that will come to our community, that will cause things to be different, but with a better and a greater endorsement. And we thank you right now for what you're going to do, and we declare it so. In the name of Jesus, we do pray. Amen and amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
In the pledge, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States,
The United States of America and to the republic,
one nation under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with
and
liberty.
justice for all.
Justice for all.
I'd like to thank again everyone for attendance today. Please call the roll. Call the meeting to
Director
order.
Aaron
Please call
Holliday.
the roll.
I'm here.
Director Elaine Jones.
Here.
Director Becca Clark. Here. Director Carol Weatherford.
Here.
Director Karen Garcia.
Here.
Director Randy Foley.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here.
Where's he?
As has been in the past, we have some directors who are remote and others here are in chambers. So continue with our social distancing, and those who are remote are a little bit more distant than those of us in chambers. So at this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any deletions, additions, deletions, or items to be moved from consent agenda to new business? Yes, Director.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we take the new business and place ordinance 02937 at the front end of new business in case there's someone here to address that issue rather than wait through the whole board meeting.
That's fine. Anybody have an objection to that? Moving item 7 to item 5.
Thank you.
Slide everything else down one. Consider that done. Thank you. Any other additions or deletions or items to be altered on the agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor of the agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Agenda has been adopted. Consider approval of minutes of the regularly held meeting schedule of July 21, 2020. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. Mr. Randy Atkinson has a special guest to introduce today. Please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to bring Michael Easter up today and introduce him to the board. Back in 1st of May, I guess, we had a gentleman that had been in the solid waste department for 35 years. Decided it was time to go, so retired, opened up a position for us, and we advertised a commercial supervisor position. Had several applicants apply, and Mike put his name in the hat, and Mike's been with the city now going on 10 years. He started on the back of a residential truck, worked there a while, moved himself over to the commercial division as a front load helper / driver, eventually moved to the roll-off driver. So he's been really working himself up the ladder. He's got excellent customer service, very dedicated employee. He doesn't miss work, something you just like to see in an employee. So after the interview process, the committee that we put together chose Mike for the position. He's been on it now for about a month. And next week actually starts his ADEQ classes for his ADEQ solid waste license. So we're excited to have Michael on board with us, and I just wanted y'all to meet him. So anyway.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I could, before Michael speaks, I remember when Michael came to work here, and I actually met Michael at the Arlington when he was working up there. And for those that don't know a lot about the solid waste, this commercial division, it represents about $4.5 to $5 million annually of that particular fund. And it services all of our commercial properties, restaurants, hotels, whatever it may be, as well as all of the roll-off construction bins and making sure that those are timely picked up, brought back so we can continue with the construction trade that we have. And it's really been really well over the past couple of years. And it's just a huge responsibility. And I'm really pleased to see Michael have this opportunity. I think you'll do a great job, and look forward to your service here for a long time.
I'd like to say I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I look forward to doing the best I can on a daily basis.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Appreciate you.
Michael.
This time I'll read a proclamation from the City of Hot Springs regarding Water Conservation Awareness Month, which is throughout the month of August. Whereas the abundant supply of clean, drinkable water and environmental stewardship are the lifeblood of economic development in the City of Hot Springs and the surrounding Garland County. And whereas the Wyland Foundation is sponsoring the 9th annual National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation as a friendly competition between cities in the United States to see who can be the best water-wise. Mayors nationwide will challenge their residents to conserve water, energy, and other natural resources on behalf of their city through a series of informative, easy-to-use pledges online. And whereas all residents of Hot Springs and Garland County can participate by taking a simple pledge on the internet at www.mywaterpledge.com during the month of August 2020. And whereas all citizens can help do their part by taking the pledge to help promote a water-secure future for generations to come. Now, therefore, I, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim the month of August 2020 as Water Conservation Awareness Month in Hot Springs, and urge all residents to take that pledge at www.mywaterpledge.com to conserve water and protect our environment. Your witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city to be fixed on this 4th day of August in the year of our Lord 2020. So please go to www.mywaterpledge.com and please sign up. So thank you. City Manager's Report. Mr. Burrow.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Starting last Thursday, our utility billing services, our customer service office was closed out of an abundance of caution with regards to the safety of our staff after 2 employees tested positive for COVID. We actually had a third in that particular department. We had 7 that were negative out of the 10 that were working in that location, as well as 2 others that tested negative, but we did have 3 positives. This particular group in customer service, they handle a lot of incoming bills and payments. They handle the transactions and getting water turned on, turned off, meters set. And I just want to commend all of them for the strict measures that they have taken to lower the chances of transmission in their offices. When you'd go out there, everyone had gloves on, masks on, but these things still can happen. So, it's one of the things that we've got to remain vigilant about. I want to thank Kevin Brownlee, Jeff Winter, Randy Outler, and all of the staff out there that have been quarantined at home. We were able to spin up some laptops, cell phones, and connect those to the system to where they were still able to take calls out of the queue and call and still work from home while they were quarantined, those that were negative. And we've learned some things about our phone system. There's always something positive that can come out of a negative, and that's one that I think we've learned through necessity. But I want to thank all of those that work in that area. I've had some calls from some concerned citizens on whether they felt like there might have been an exposure there, and it doesn't appear that would happen. They were servicing everyone out of a window, basically, which had a partition that would protect any kind of spray. Plus, they were wearing their mask and their gloves, so the chances of being exposed were little to none in that area. But those working in that close confinement, especially the two that sat right next to each other, they did have positives, and they should. All of the negative cases should be back in the office on Thursday, and we're looking at some of the work from home possibilities there, so we don't have this happen again. It's totally unprecedented. That we've never had to shut down our customer service, and it was chaotic for a couple of days, but with them being able to spin up and service the residents and the customers of the system was really a great teamwork between the individuals I mentioned and the staff.
Are they okay, Bill?
They are. We have one that actually went to the hospital and was not admitted, but they're still feeling bad.
Yeah.
A couple of these out of the three, two are, I would say, are significant. They're pretty sick. Okay. So our thoughts and prayers for them, and we call and check on them and just wish them nothing but a speedy recovery. I want to express my appreciation to the difference makers of Hot Springs for organizing a community policing forum on July the 28th. This panel of discussion was a great outlet for our new police chief, Chris Chapman, Sheriff McCormick, myself, Judge Darrell Mahoney, Elmer Beard, Dr. Stephanie Nahus with the Hot Springs School District, and Dr. Rob Gershon to share all the great things that are already happening to build partnerships and relationships between the law enforcement and our community. I think we all learned a little something that night. And it really is amazing all of the positive things that we do have happening in our city and our county. The collaboration that has been happening between the city, the county, and the community has helped Hot Springs and Garland County stay ahead of the curve with regards to the response to challenging issues such as the COVID pandemic and the movements for social equity and community policing. So would like to thank the difference makers of Hot Springs for organizing that event. It was on Facebook Live, and I think it's still out there to where those that didn't have a chance to see it have an opportunity to go back and watch that. It was a really nice evening. On Saturday, August the 15th, the City of Hot Springs Solid Waste Department is holding an e-waste event from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. behind the Hot Springs Convention Center off of Church Street. Individuals are asked to remain in their vehicles for this drive-through event. We'll have city staff there to help unload any of the e-waste items that you have. Acceptable items include televisions, computer monitors, keyboards, VCRs, DVDs, Blu-ray players, video game consoles, even microwaves and small electronic items. So if it's an electronic device and you can plug it on a wall, you can bring it to this event. No refrigerators. Couple other things that I want to bring to the board's attention and the visiting public and the viewers and the people that are here in the audience. The city's first all-inclusive playground has been installed at the David F. Watkins Park, and the safety base was poured in place on top of the concrete foundation this week. That's still curing and setting. I know there's a lot of people excited about this new playground, as are we, but please remember that this park is still under construction. Things are moving along really, really well. We've got some nice trees planted, and hopefully we'll have a late fall dedication of that particular park. It's been a lot of work. Anthony Whittington and his staff have really done a lot of great work out there, and we appreciate that. Cornerstone water tank. That's getting very close to the valve turning. We won't have a grand opening, but a valve turning. It's coming along really nice. We've planted 24 trees at the site, alternating sizes of red and pink crepe myrtles and 6 October red maples. The water tank camera, if you haven't looked at that, it's still running, so you can see all of this progress from the day they started to the day they were planting trees. The fence is going up and everything else. And you can get there at cityhs.net/utilities, and you'll have a tank cam icon. It's really something to see after you see something of that size being built, and first one that we've built since the 60s. So it's really something that's special, and we look forward to that opening. Last but not least, Finance Director Doretha Yates was happy to share some very good news on July the 22nd, that the city's May sales tax revenue came in well above our budgeted increase of 2.5%, with a rise of 8.39% over May of 2019. As we have seen a lot of dips in sales tax since we've had the COVID pandemic, it was nice to see that particular month come in, and it really helped us with our year-to-date numbers with an increase of 2.74%. So we're still over that budgeted amount, but I think there's still a long way to go between now and the end of the year. But at least that's some positive news that we've had coming in just a couple of weeks ago. Mayor, that completes my report.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that. This time, Board of Directors announcements regarding upcoming events. Any director have an upcoming event they'd like to make the public aware of?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. We desperately need everyone that has not responded to the census to please respond and get that information in. We are currently at around 57%, and in 2010, our response was 62%. And if we are less than we were before, we're going to lose money for our highways, for our hospitals, for education, for our public works, everything that we receive turnback funds for and federal funds will be decreased. And to help with this, on August 15th, there will be a resource fair at the farmers market located at 121 Orange Street. And the Census Bureau will have representatives there at a booth to help people in getting a response completed for their census. So if anyone in the public, or you know anyone that has not received a form where they could respond, we need everyone that has not responded to please respond, and you can get help on August 15th between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. at the farmers market at the booth that the Census Bureau will have. And it will require mask and social distancing, but they will help everyone that comes out needing assistance.
Thank you. Any other directors with an upcoming event to announce? Hearing none, we'll move on. This time we'll consider items on the consent agenda. These are of routine nature and do not merit discussion and are voted on en masse. So this time I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
You got a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is adopted. We have a public, at this time we'll consider resolution we got a
Public hearing first.
public hearing, yes. Thank you. At this time we'll open a public hearing on the issue of abandoning Lorene Street, located in Campbell Subdivision in Garland County, Arkansas, and for other purposes. Anybody here to speak regarding the abandoning of Lorene Street? Yes, please come forward and state your name, your address, and what city district you reside in.
District 3. We actually own part of the property on it's not on Lorene Street, but off of Hicks Loop that runs back there, and then Patrick Dobbs owns one side of it, and then I believe it's Derek. Terrible names, Derek or Daniel.
Daniel Brown.
Daniel owns the other side. Basically, my grandfather bought the property off of Hicks Loop that this street, proposed street was supposed to be on, probably 30 years ago. We were told that it was just a alley to access it if there was ever needed. And then Patrick told me that when he bought the property, he didn't even know it existed there. So all the property owners that this proposed street touches are all in favor of abandoning it, and it will help us develop this property on Hicks Loop that's off of Hicks Loop that we're trying to develop. It'd help us do that as well. So,
Any questions from directors? Hearing none, thank you. Any other, please come forward and state your name, address, and city district.
Aaron Burrows. I'm in the county, 110 Hunter Cove Court. Also speaking for it, I'm the engineer working for the Howard Johnson family, Trey the third. Basically what this is, and I think Trey basically indicated that it's part of a larger planned development that we're working on to develop about 2.5 acres of land into trailer sales, develop this area on Albert Pike. We weren't even aware that Lorene Street was there until Ken Sperlin did the survey and found in a very old plat of a subdivision, James Glad, I can't remember, Glenn subdivision back in 1920. So when that came to light, Kathy Selman, head of planning and development, said that we need to officially go through and abandon this street. It was never developed, never built. There's no utilities on it. Went through Gary Carnahan. He cleared it. We originally just wanted to abandon the south half of the street that was on Trey's property. But when we looked into the properties north of there, Daniel and Patrick Dobbs, they both were in favor of the trailer sales project that will go to planning development for approval on Thursday next week. But we need this approved. So as you'll see later on, we'll be voting to make this official. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them, but I don't believe there would be any opposition to abandoning this road and dedicating the south half to the Johnson family and the north half to be split between Dobbs and Daniel of DMT LLC. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Burrow? Thank you. Are there any other interested parties to address the abandoning of Lorene Street? Any interested parties? Hearing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Thank you. Earlier this evening, we moved item 7 up to top of the list of new business. So at this time, we'll consider ordinance 020-37. Now I entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
A motion is Director Foley, seconded by
Second.
Director Clark. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Please read by title.
Ordinance 020-37, an ordinance approving C3 zoning on 2 acres of undeveloped land generally located at the intersection of Malvern Avenue with Suburban Street and Lakeside Road, amending the future land use plan map to designate the area neighborhood commercial center and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt. Director Foley.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table this item until September 1st.
Yeah, we need to get it on the floor before we can table. So we'll need a motion a second to adopt.
I see, okay. Thank you.
Director Foley, motion to adopt.
Sure, let's get it on the floor.
Seconded by
Second.
Director Clark. We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Mayor, I'll just, for the benefit of the public and those who may be listening, this matter, as the title indicates, is for a rezoning request of approximately 2 acres that's currently residentially zoned to C3. The Planning Commission did not agree with the application and voted not to recommend it for approval to the board, and so this comes to you in the form of an appeal. Mr. Hurst, on behalf of Mr. Green, the owner of the property, timely filed a notice of appeal, which brings it before the board. Mr. Green is not able to attend this during the month of August and has requested that it be continued until September the 1st, rather than continuing it without being on your agenda, which would have required us to republish the notice of this matter and would result in additional expense on the part of the city.
That's why I asked you to keep it on your agenda so that you could now make a motion to table it until September 1. Philip Montgomery is here on behalf of some of the opponents, and so he's aware of this matter as well. So if you're inclined to make such a motion, this would be the time.
I'd like to make a motion. We table this till September 1st meeting.
We have a motion to table until September 1st.
Second.
Seconded by Director Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to table until the September 1st City Board meeting signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion to table is approved. This time we'll consider Resolution R20-108 and ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R20-108, a resolution awarding a bid to Hot Springs Landscaping for mowing, landscaping, and ground maintenance services at certain Hot Springs city parks and trails areas. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
So moved.
Got a motion by Director Jones, seconded by
Second.
Director Foley. And a staff report will be provided by Anthony Whittington.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. The city's mowing contract is an annual contract with two 12-month extensions. We've had two companies respond, Hot Springs Landscaping and U.S. Lawns. Upon the rate and rank, staff is recommending awarding Hot Springs Landscaping the contract for a total of $106,103. Staff is recommending that if for any reason Hot Springs Landscaping is unable to fill the duties listed in the contract, that staff may contact the company with the next highest rating, which will be U.S. Lawns. This would mean the city would have one backup company in place. The contract does include areas of parks and trails, public works, animal services, and the city's airport.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Whittington? Any questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Any members of the public here to speak on this issue? Any discussion amongst board members?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I received calls and messages from 11 different business owners that were opposed to this award, to this contractor, and I wanted the board to be aware of that. And also, I heard from other potential vendors that if the city would consider having two contracts, that they were more apt to get more bids for these if two were in place at a time. That way they know that they could handle it. Some did not bid because they were unsure that with the amount, if they could keep their service their current customers and do 100%. But I did receive these calls from 11 different business owners that are opposed to this particular vendor receiving this contract award.
Okay. You have any comments from other directors? Director Foley?
Director Garcia, what was the nature of their opposition?
They had done business with them before, and there was some negative results.
Thank you.
Any other comments from directors? Director Clark?
Question, Director Garcia, have you shared this with Mr. Whittington and everyone's aware?
I shared it with the city manager,
Okay.
and I believe it was shared with them. Is that right, Bill?
That is correct. If I could add a little bit to this item, we did have it was a little unusual, this particular bid this year. We had a contractor in place that pulled out and was no longer going to service this account. It was just more than they could handle. So we had to quickly get an RFP out to pick up all of the properties in the city because, as you know, spring and summer was here. It was upon us. We bid it out. We had, I think it was three We received 3, maybe 4 bids the first time. We went through that bid process. This particular company, Hot Springs Landscaping and Mowing, were the highest ranked and the lowest bidders. However, when we looked at some of the rating sheets, I felt like there were some discrepancies in those that we needed to look at a little bit further. I ultimately rejected all of the bids, and we went back out to bid. During this bid, we also received 3. One of those was unresponsive and 2 responsive bids, which are the 2 that Mr. Whittington mentioned tonight, Hot Springs Landscaping and the other firm, Hot Springs Landscaping. This time it was rated by other raters than the first time. They still came out after looking at their proposal, the highest rated and the lowest cost. So our recommendation would be to award to this particular company. Now, through this time period, we've had mowing being conducted by Hot Springs Landscaping. We're about halfway through the contract of this $106,000. The reason I've got it before you tonight is it's about to exceed the limit that the board has set upon the city manager of $60,000, so I wanted to get it in front of you. One of the things, and council, I may need you to help me on this, we had a 3-year contract, basically a 1 year with a couple of 1-year rollovers. Staff will be glad to bring this back after this mowing season and get another RFP out and get that out in a little bit sooner than we did, well, a lot sooner than we did this last time. But we were just left, I don't want to say high and dry, but we were left at a point to where we needed to do something very quickly. During the time that this particular company has had the contract with the city, I can't speak for work they've done anywhere else, but I've checked with all of the departments, and I think there's 6 that they actually do the mowing from the airport to the parks to medians to other things. And we've not had any issues with them as far as the service they've provided the city. So our recommendation is to award this contract to Hot Springs Mowing, Landscape, and Ground Maintenance. And, if we so choose, we can get back out with an RFP after this mowing season.
Mayor, one follow-up to Mr. Burr's comments. He's right. This is the option to extend is by mutual agreement of the parties under Section 2. This contract would expire October 31st, and so at that point, it would require the city's consent to continue forward.
So we have 3 months left on a contract for which we've already committed. And then it's reconsidered in 3 months when we go out for bid again. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't think it's, we have a contract. We have a week-to-week mowing. Is that correct, City Manager? This would extend, you were going about it on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis, and this would put in the contract.
We are currently on a month-to-month because we don't have a contract signed from the RFP. We are recommending that the board sign this particular 1-year contract, which is about halfway through the mowing season. So we would have another 3 months left on the contract. It would expire, and we would come back and get that back out for bid for the following spring.
Even if you wanted to go out for bid, that's not an overnight time frame, and so would not it take at least 45 to 60 days to put out a process to accept proposals and evaluate them and issue?
I would think so. One of the options that we would have is to not approve this particular item and direct staff to come back with the second lowest or the second highest rated, which was the other firm. However, I'm not sure at this point of where we are in the season that they would have enough staff and equipment to do the contract 3 months into it. It's possible, but that's kind of the options that we have. I do expect to see additional vendors with a RFP out in a sooner time frame than what we were able to do this year. I mean, this is a big contract. It takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of equipment. And really, we need to let this, early after the first of the year so they can gear up and be ready for when that contract takes effect. and actually would probably even do that prior to the end of the year. The problem we have is we don't normally set out RFPs until we have a budget approved. So this is one that we would have ready to go, and as soon as the budget was approved, we'd let it.
Very good. Any other comments or questions from directors?
If something happened and this contractor couldn't fulfill its duties, the city would go to the backup vendor anyway, as what Anthony said. Is that correct?
We would go to them and try to get an agreement in place. And there, if they couldn't handle all of it, we would be in a position where we would probably have to break a lot of these properties apart and just try to get through the next 3 months till we can get an RFP back out.
Any further questions or comments?
We seem to go through this every year. And so I was wondering, what's the benefit of hiring some employees and purchasing some equipment? And it's a major capital investment.
And we've done that in the past, and the number of employees. The problem that we have is it's a seasonal endeavor. So we could hire part-time employees and hope to get some to come back the following year. But when we've tried some of that in the past, it was always a turnover, and you really couldn't keep people that we needed. So that's why we opted to go with a professional firm to do this outside work, and it ended up being less expensive to contract it out through the RFP process because it's a competitive bid.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Holliday?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Weatherford?
Aye.
Garcia?
No.
Folly?
Aye.
McCabe?
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance 020-36. I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Director Clark, seconded by Director
Second.
Foley. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance 020-36, an ordinance vacating and abandoning Lorene Street located in Campbell Subdivision in Garland County, Arkansas, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
So moved.
Preferred, seconded by Director Jones. And staff report will be provided by Mr. Brian Albright.
Yes, Mayor. I think we have a map of this right-of-way for your consideration. Pursuant to Arkansas Code, annotated Section 14-301-104, property owner Howard Johnson on July 8, 2020, by and through his representative, Aaron Burroughs of Atoka Engineers, Inc., filed a petition with the city clerk's office to abandon this right-of-way known as Lorene Street. Lorene Street was a right-of-way that was dedicated for public benefit, but was never built or developed. The adjoining property owners, being Patrick Dobbs and Daniel Brown, DMT Properties, have also joined with the Johnson family in signing this petition. City staff has reviewed the petition and supports the vacation of this former right-of-way. All utility providers have been contacted, and they also support the petition. Public hearing that you held earlier this evening was advertised for 2 consecutive weeks as required by law. All interested parties have had an opportunity to be heard. If vacated, this right-of-way would be split such that one half of the right-of-way would go to each of the adjoining property owners. Mr. Burrs is here, as he spoke earlier. He didn't mention that it was his wedding anniversary and that he should tell everyone that he overkicked his coverage quite a bit.
Oh,
Any
goodness.
questions of Mr. Albright? Do we have anyone else who wants to speak on this issue from the audience? Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Weatherford,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Holliday,
Aye.
and McCabe.
Aye. And the ordinance is adopted. That completes the action items for this evening's meeting. At this time, we'll entertain Board of Directors items for discussion. Do we have any item for discussion from individual directors? Director Clark.
I do. Thank you, Mayor. I want to announce officially that I will not be running for District 3 Director this year. It's been a very long process to come to this decision, and it was difficult. It's been an immense honor to serve the citizens and a terrific learning opportunity, and quite a bit of fun most of the time. So my obligations have increased significantly in the past year due to my expansion in my businesses and taking care of my father's declining health who has Alzheimer's. So this seems like an appropriate time to make the transition. My goals when I first ran were to improve our downtown, to expand civil rights to more of our citizens, and to guarantee a long-term supply of essential water. This has all happened in the past 8 years. And once this awful pandemic has abated, I'm confident that Hot Springs will continue on its upward climb. And finally, the reason I'm doing this is because I think it's time I want to bring on the next generation into leadership. We'll all benefit from the vibrant energy and the fresh perspective that younger people have in abundance. It's time to pass the baton. It's been a true joy to serve with all of you, and I look forward to the election and to the bright future for Hot Springs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Any other items for discussion amongst board members?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that the city has several job openings, and of those are included in the Hot Springs Police Department. But there are positions open in the utilities admin. There's bus driver, the stormwater manager, street department, and all of those job opportunities are on the city's website. And the HR department does a good job of keeping them posted on a bulletin board in the lobby of the city hall, as well as applications and ability there for people to submit their applications for these job openings, and want to make sure everyone's aware of how they can apply, and that we have these openings for the city. And final note that with Director Clark's announcement, that it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other items for?
Mayor, she said she had fun. I appreciate that, because I was part of the fun.
You were a big part of it, Director Jones. Big part.
All right. Director Jones, do you have any final comments?
Yes, I do, Mayor. I would like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting for tonight.
Okay, we got a motion by Director Jones to adjourn. We have a second.
Second.
Director Weatherford seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.